Welcome back to the Dr. Glidden Show, everybody. Thank God it's Friday. You got Mike Phillip filling in once again for Dr. Peter Glidden. Now, the regular host of this show, as I mentioned, is Dr. Peter Glidden. He is a 27-year practicing naturopath, and I got involved with him about 6 years ago. He helped myself, my wife, some family members get over some major health issues without drugs and surgery, and it was a beautiful thing, and I was so happy about that I jumped in head first. I mean, I was excited about it. Now, I'm going to give you a little scenario here. You're going about your life. Things are good. Everything's working out. You got a good job. You got beautiful children. Love your family. And all of a sudden, you get a little pain in your lower back. It's not enough to really cause any problems, but over time, it gets worse and worse. So you decide that you need to go and see a doctor. So you make an appointment. You go to his office. He talks to you for about 5 minutes, and he whips out his prescription pad. Gives you the name of a drug that you've never heard of. Scribbles on a piece of paper. You can't understand the writing. At this point, you've got a choice on what you're going to do, what route you're going to take. Now, we got a great guest this morning. We got Chase Billow of recallguide.org. Chase received his Bachelor of Arts in American History from the University of North Carolina at Chapel Hill and attended Albany Law School in Albany, New York. He's a senior project manager at Consultwebs, Inc., and oversees the development of recallguide.org, a web app that educates and empowers consumers regarding prescription drugs and alerts you when dangerous Class 1 recalls are issued. He lives and works in the beautiful Lake Norman area of Charlotte, North Carolina. Chase, how are you this morning?
Mike, I'm great.
Excellent. We're glad to have you on. Now, this is very important, and we're going to get into the reasons why in a little bit here. I'd like to add also that my good friend Mike in Ottawa is riding shotgun. He's going to be giving some color commentary as we go. But Chase, could you get a little bit into recallguide.org, who founded it and why? Go ahead, Chase.
Hey, Mike. Well, first, thanks for having me on the show. I'm very happy to be here. I love your show, and you talk about a lot of really important things. So I think it's a good fit for Recall Guide. So Recall Guide, it's the brainchild, I'd say, of J.R. Oakes and also some of the other managers over at Consultwebs. What we do is we do internet marketing for personal injury attorneys, the top firms in the country who handle these class action lawsuits on things like Xarelto, Zoloft, things like that. So we handle intakes. We see what people are searching for, how they're getting to the sites, what types of problems that they're dealing with. And after, 2 decades of doing that, we've come up and been able to see what it is that people are looking for. So Recall Guide is the kind of the culmination of a lot of that information. What we do is we track recalls from FDA, any Class 1 recalls that are issued. These are dangerous recalls. We let people know if you have an account on Recall Guide, which is free, you'll get alerts by email. You'll get alerts through the app once it's developed. You also get alerts when people update information on different drugs on the site. So we have dedicated pages, Shade to Zoloft, things like that. If someone adds information that they had a personal experience with the drug, you'll get an alert about that.
Well, that's great. I mean, it's a one-stop shop, I guess. It's a great place to go if you are faced with taking a prescription and you're not sure about it. Now, we have got a major drug problem in the Western Hemisphere. Drugs, drugs, drugs. They throw them at everything. Now, drugs are not inherently bad, okay? They're not. I mean, if you've got acute symptoms and a drug's going to help you get over a pain issue for a little while your body has a chance to heal itself, great. But it's how they're used. They throw them at everything, and drugs don't heal you. They mask symptoms. Now, the National Institute on Drug Abuse, if you go to drugabuse.gov, they're showing that national overdose deaths from prescription drugs for 2015 were at around 27,000 people. And I would guess that that's probably lowballing because there's no way that they could actually track it, but that's still high. Now, if you contrast that to, say, national deaths from cocaine or street drugs, they only topped out at around 7,000. So the drugs that are given to you by professionals, we've got some problems with. And we need to address this as a society. Now, Dr. Glidden is fond of saying drugs and surgery is difficult. Healing is easy because, a large portion of your body's functions are dedicated to healing. Now, we've got people getting addicted to prescription drugs. We got people dying from prescription drugs. We got to look at the benefits, and we have to weigh it in the balance. Mike, what do you got to say about this morning?
Yeah, good morning to everybody. Well, basically, it's good to know that there's somebody actually making a drug recall guide, or at least trying to notify people, because contrary to what a lot of people think, the FDA actually themselves doesn't normally test out drugs. It's usually the pharmaceutical companies themselves that create their own little tests. They say that they're double-blind, placebo-controlled studies, but we have no real evidence whether or not those tests are, realistically conducted in order to maybe sway things in the favor of the drug. So what happens is the FDA just takes a fee, and they take the applications, and the pharmaceutical company says, hey, these are the tests that we did, and the FDA says, okay, let's approve it. And, next thing you know, you got another Vioxx scandal going on, and, all these people are hooked on a painkiller that's killing them. The FDA's, they've admitted many, many times that less than 10% of all reported cases, actually get published. So right there, if you say 27,000, I'm saying 270,000. So,
right.
Right there, it's just a big bucket of fraud. But yeah,
bucket of fraud. That's the technical term. Okay. So Chase,
I censored myself, so.
That's probably a good thing. I'm glad that you have that mechanism. So Chase, you've been doing this for a while. What have you personally seen? Have you guys, have you had experience in your life with people having problem with prescription drugs?
Oh yeah, myself and anyone I know knows someone, at least 3 people who also know at least 3 people who have had some kind of problem with either a prescription drug or an FDA-approved device. But to Mike's point, what he was saying is it's very important, very interesting that most people think that if a drug is FDA approved, it means the FDA, this government agency that's supposed to regulate and protect us, is the body that that approves. They do the testing and approve the drugs to make sure they're safe. But like he said, that's not the case. It's actually the manufacturer, and they do the testing, then they submit reports. So, there's kind of that's an interesting way to do things. And actually, last minute, one of our attorney writers, Gregory Froome, he actually submitted an article that's on the homepage right now that talks about legal liability, and he makes the point that they're approved, but there's the problems. You won't know that there's a problem until a lot of people start reporting adverse events. Basically until a lot of people start getting sick and either having an issue or seriously ill or dying. That's the only way that the FDA knows, or the manufacturer knows, and then everyone else starts knowing that there's a particular problem with the drug.
Right, and so and it's kind of there's an element of laziness on the part of the general public in thinking this is covered because the FDA is looking into it, so I don't have to worry about it. But if they're just taking information from the manufacturer, that's a pretty obvious conflict of interest in my mind's eye, in my opinion. They've got a financial incentive to, say whatever they need to in order to get the drug on the market. And, I would guess that if they are aware that there's problems, then, they probably have bean counters factoring that in. If there's going to be any kind of lawsuits, then, okay, so are the lawsuits going to be less than our overall profits? So, all of that comes into play, and that's what people need to understand. Now, in this, in the course of doing this show, I talk to people all the time who, they had a problem at one time or another. So they went to their doctor, they got on a prescription drug. Over time, they felt good at first, but over time they started developing other problems. So they went back to the doctor and, well, hey, guess what? We got another drug for you. And pretty soon you're on 15 different prescriptions, each one to counter the effects of the last one. And this is a major problem. And so, you've got off-label drug use. We're going to get into that. You've got black box warnings that the FDA puts on the insert so that the doctor can tell you if there is a significant risk of injury or death. But do they do that? It's up to you. And recallguide.org puts that power, that information in your hands so that you don't become another statistic. Mike, what do you got to say?
Well, I like how you mentioned that every time people go back to their doctor, there's always a new drug for them to try. Did you guys know, and I guarantee you most of the people listening to this show had no clue, that no drugs, and I mean 0 drugs, okay, are tested drug against drug. It's always drug against placebo. So what you have is you have a lot of these drugs called Me Too drugs, and you have a lot of drugs that are simply repackaged drugs from the 1970s and 80s. A good example is Prilosec and Nexium. Okay.
Got to cut you off, Mike. I hear the music.
There we go.
Pick it up where we left off on the other side. Mike Phillip and Mike in Ottawa filling in for Dr. Glidden. We got Chase Lookout Billow. We'll be back after this.
Paid non-attorney spokesperson Adam Pulaski of the Pulaski Law Firm with principal office in Houston, Texas is the attorney responsible for the content of this ad. This ad is not legal advice, and the choice of a lawyer should not be based solely upon advertisement. Services may not be available in all states. Attention Xarelto users. If you or a loved one took Xarelto and suffered a serious bleeding event, you may be entitled to financial compensation. Xarelto is a popular prescription blood thinner used to prevent blood clots and protect patients from strokes. These serious bleeding events have led to numerous cases of hospitalization and even death. Phone lines are open 24/7. Call 800-261-0937. That's 800-261-0937.
You're fired.
According to the Small Business Administration, 75% of small businesses plan to eliminate jobs or reduce workers' hours to part-time.
You're fired.
According to Gallup, the unemployment rate recently jumped to nearly 9%, and the underemployment rate hit a staggering 17.9%.
You're fired.
1 out of 3 young adults and 1 out of 2 recent college graduates are underemployed. Hello, I'm Keith Abel, a pharmacist and a home business entrepreneur. In 2011, I became one of those statistics myself. Instead of looking for another job in corporate America, I joined Dr. Joel Wallach, the Dead Doctors Don't Lie guy. We're creating steady incomes for ourselves and would like to show you how to do the same. If you want to supplement your current income, replace your income, so you don't have to become one of the statistics, then give me a call toll-free at 866-257-3105, 866-257-3105.
You're fired.
Don't wait till you hear those words. Start creating an extra income today. 866-257-3105.
Removing bad taste and odor from your drinking water is easy. Removing the bad stuff you don't taste is what ProPure does best. Water the way nature meant it to be. Clean, crisp, and refreshing. See the complete line of ProPure countertop, inline, gravity, and household water filtration products. Visit your authorized ProPure dealer or ProPureUSA.com. That's ProPureUSA.com or call 800-544-3533.
This is David Cordani, CEO of Cigna. For more than 20 years, Cigna has worked with the March of Dimes to address premature births in the U.S. Premature births cause horrible suffering and cost billions of dollars each year. That's why Cigna is committed to raising funds and awareness through our employees, family, and friends to improve the health of moms and babies. Please join us in supporting the March for Babies. Start your team today at marchforbabies.org.
I'm Nick Soboleski, a Select Quote agent with a true story that could save you hundreds of dollars a year. A woman named Linda just called. Her husband, Ray, has a $300,000 group life insurance policy, but is changing jobs and can't take it with him. Well, I impartially shopped the highly rated term life insurance companies we represent and found Ray, who is 41 and takes medication to control his cholesterol, a 10-year, $500,000 policy for under $26 a month. That's almost twice the coverage for less than half of what he had paid. If SelectQuote hasn't shopped for your life insurance, you're probably paying too much.
For your free quote, call 1-800-403-4885. That's 1-800-403-4885. 1-800-403-4885. Or go to SelectQuote.com. We shop, you save. Get full details in the example policy at SelectQuote.com/commercials. Your price can vary depending on your health, issuing company, and other factors. Not available in all states.
Are your Google search results killing you? Unflattering content in blogs, news articles, online reviews, social media, or other sources can jeopardize your reputation, your business, and your livelihood. Let Reputation.com help. Our patented technology will make the truth about you more visible while pushing down unwanted negative content. Improve your Google search results. Call Reputation.com at 1-800-831-0771 for a free consultation. That's 800-831-0771.
Mike Phillip, Leftover Mike, and Chase Billow having a conversation about recallguide.org, putting the power of information back in the hands of consumers so that, you have a chance to find out what a so-called expert is wanting you to put in your body. Is it going to hurt you? Is it going to kill you? Is it going to ruin your life? Is it going to turn you into a drug addict? I mean, there's a serious problem going on, but it doesn't have to be that way. You can find out on your own, and recallguide.org is a one-stop place where it's all posted, and all you got to do is search the drug that they want you to take, or if you have a friend or a loved one, you can find out if you can stop taking it cold turkey or if you got to wean yourself off. The point is, it is your decision. Your doctor is not God. He's not Moses. The prescription pad is not the 10 Commandments in his hand coming down the mountain, and you don't have to do what they say. But far too many people just ignorantly believe what they say because he's a good guy and he's got my best interests at heart. But so with that being said, before the break, Mike was talking about drug testing and how they don't test drug against drug, but drug against placebo. Get back into that, Mike, please.
Yeah, so they never test old drugs versus new drugs. They never test sister drugs versus sister drugs. Like, there's no test of, Prozac versus Paxil versus Zoloft. They don't do that, or Wellbutrin or anything like that. They'll never do that. And those tests themselves, if you look into them, whenever they compare anything versus placebo, they just simply say, well, the people on the placebo, they didn't really have this reaction, and one or two of these people had a slight change on the drug side, so we're going to say that we saw some effect of change in the people on the drug. And another thing is, a lot of people don't realize that there's technically 4 phases for a trial, but phase 1 is generally done in a lab. Phase 2 of a trial is done with a small group of people, and then phase 3 trial is when they put it on the market. A lot of people don't realize that the first 7 years of a new drug, or Chase might be able to correct me if I'm wrong, I think it's 7 years. The first 7 years of a drug being on the market is actually a phase 3 trial. So technically, anytime you go to a doctor and he says, I've got a new drug, well, that drug still hasn't been tested. You're going to be the guinea pig. Mm-hmm. So I just want people to know that. Chase, if you want to, continue off with me.
Right, that's a good point. And it's like Mike says, in the end, it's up to you. And we're kind of, a lot of people maybe are just maybe a little too willing to trust the guy with the white coat. And, he went to a good school. He's got the certification, up on the wall. But right, like you said, it's just most people they don't know. They assume, I think, that everything's good, that the doctor recommends it, he prescribes it, it must be safe, it's FDA approved. But, exactly, like you said, they're still in trial. And this isn't to knock, all prescription drugs or anything that's developed. A lot of them, they do great things and they're very helpful. in a lot of ways, but it might not be for you. And the only way to know is for you to do some research, for you to find out, hey, are there people complaining about this? Have there been any recall issues, right? How long has it been on the market? Is it just like you said, a Me Too drug? In the case of like Xarelto, is it just kind of an alternative to warfarin? Does it do the same thing? Should I just stick with the old drug that's been on the market already and the kinks have been worked out? There's a lot of things to consider, and I think maybe we're not, as a culture, maybe we're not very used to or comfortable with looking into that and taking a second look once it's something that's recommended by a doctor.
Well, and not only so. Yeah, if you watch CNN or any of these other, big news networks, drug commercials are their bread and butter, it seems like. And so, anytime you watch an hour of TV, about 6 times you're going to hear side effects include. So, and the American Medical Association, they want to stop that advertising because, they'll tell you all this stuff about this drug. They'll list the side effects, and then they'll say, ask your doctor. So you go in with a preconceived notion based on the list of symptoms that they told you about on the commercial, and you're suggestible, and you think, I need that. So you go in and ask your doctor, and well, of course he's going to give it to you. Some won't, some will. Mike and Mike, Chase Billow. We'll be back after this. Let's talk a little bit about off-label drug use. We've had people call into this show that their doctor prescribed them with chemo drugs for arthritis. I'm finding a bunch of articles online. They're starting to use chemotherapy drugs for lupus. And it sounds insane, but why are they doing this? Mike, could you get into that a little bit?
Well, depends on how we want to look at it. So the actual reason why they're doing it is never going to be admitted, right? But one thing that we do know is that there's direct compensation for use of chemotherapy drugs. So anytime a doctor gets you on a form of chemotherapy, he gets pretty much directly compensated, whereas other drugs you might get like, free dinners, free trips to Hawaii. You can get little perks here and there. I mean, some of them do get financial benefits as well, but so there's the financial benefits to it. Also, chemotherapy drugs, contrary to what you might think, they're actually cheap to manufacture. So there's a lot of profit there. And, I also have a feeling that it goes a little bit more evil, I guess, than just the compensation. I think that because of the fact that you can quite quickly destroy somebody's DNA chains with chemotherapy drugs and destroy their bone marrow, etc.
Immune system.
The immune system, everything. I think it's more or less a way to set them up for more destruction, and you can milk them for more money.
So it's you could look at it as a loss leader. They're setting you up to come back to them constantly, and they treat you like an ATM.
It's like vaccines. Vaccines set children up for destruction. Pediatricians are some of the most evil people you could ever bring your kid to. I would trust a pervert down the road rather than... No, seriously, you know what? Because a pervert down the road or some idiot that wants to, maybe mug your kid or whatever, they only have one small objective in mind, and it's not going to be a long-term effect. It's only going to be something that's going to hurt the kid for one day, whereas your pediatrician's going to screw the kid up for life. So pediatricians I absolutely despise. I will say that on record. I absolutely hate pediatricians.
Well, you're absolutely allowed to have your own opinion. So, Chase, you've got this writer, Rissa Blair, off-label drug use. What does it mean? People can go to recallguide.org and read all about it. And it's time to get educated. We need to know what these people are doing. And I absolutely agree. I mean, if you look at serotonin reuptake inhibitors, the FDA has a black box warning on every single one telling you flat out that it causes suicidal tendencies in children and young adults, and it's happening all the time. So, and the reason for these black box warnings is so that your doctor can let you know. But do they do that? I mean, if you went to your doctor and said, I'm depressed, what do I do? And they said, okay, well, listen, I'm going to give you this drug, but it causes suicide, okay? So, I mean, you wouldn't take it, right? But, and on the flip side of that, you've got things like 5-HTP, which has never caused harm to anybody and does a lot for your mood improvement. It's natural, it's cheap, and they don't want you to go that route. Not only that, but I mean, blood sugar disorders, 2 simple minerals, chromium and vanadium, clears it right up. Dietary choices, and you look at the drug trials. Do they follow these people around in the drug trials? Do they look at what they're eating? Do they look at how much they weigh? Do they look at their sleep habits? There's so many things that come into play here. But Chase, what else is on your mind? You were talking about devices and recalls. Let's get into that a little bit.
Oh, yeah, that's a whole other issue. Mike would know a lot about this, but I know personally I have a dear friend who had some issues and was recommended by her primary care physician that she get one of those transvaginal meshes, installed.
Right.
Basically, so she underwent the surgery, did that, and then it wasn't until I think it was a year later, something around there, where she started having a lot of problems. A lot of different pains, fatigue, and this was a person who was always healthy her entire life, always ate well, no drinking, no smoking, no drugs, exercise every day in top condition. It wasn't long before she started really having problems, couldn't really, do what she wanted to do at the gym, just overall feeling bad, adding to her stress, and just really, really saw her health deteriorating. And so she went in, found out it was, the transvaginal mesh. And then she started learning that, these are the class action lawsuits. Now a lot of people are having the same problems. And now she's going to have to go and get surgery again, have it removed. So it's just...
Well, I hope she took them to the cleaners.
Well, that's ongoing right now. But it's, it's like I said, you don't know until after the fact. You're recommended by the doctor. And she has all of these regrets that, I shouldn't have kind of let the doctor talk me into it, and you have those feelings and the shoulda, wouldas. But,
well, and even if you win a lawsuit, the damage is done, and you've only got one life, you've only got one body to live in, and the damage is done. I mean,
exactly.
What good is a bit of money if you're damaged and you can't enjoy your life? I'd rather be poor and healthy than own a private jet and have constant pain and health problems due to negligence on the behalf of a so-called professional. So, Mike, what do you got to say about devices and putting things in people's body? I want to hear your take on this.
Here's a personal story, actually, what got me into natural health in the first place. It's kind of a crappy story, but so when I was in the military and I was a paramedic, I used a device called a needle, an injector, and I was told basically to vaccinate troops. And a lot of people don't realize this, that military vaccines have no labels on the vials. Depending on the situation, you sometimes have to reuse needles because they will only give you 50 needles and you got 65 troops or whatever that you have to do. So, I was a kid. I was 19 at the time, or 20, 19. I think, I don't know. It was a while back. And, I didn't ask any questions. I was just like, oh yeah, it's vaccines. I've studied this stuff for 2 years and blah, 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 and there's nothing wrong with it. And I didn't question the fact that there was no labels on the vaccines. And while injecting the troops, one of them actually, had a seizure, went into convulsions and all kinds of issues. And they basically, I kind of panicked, right? Like, I was new at this. I had, just became a paramedic not long ago. They told me to do my rounds of vaccines. So I'm kind of tripping out trying to figure out what happened to this guy. And one of the field surgeons, actually, he was around. He's, registered doctor, blah, 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 comes over and he says, oh, yeah, he probably just didn't have any breakfast. Now, we all eat at the exact same time, okay? We all eat the same food. We all eat at the exact same time. So there's no way this guy didn't have breakfast. And if something is supposed to be so safe and so effective and, injury-free, well, what the heck happened to this guy, right? So how could just a little bit of breakfast make such a difference? He was basically breakdancing on the ground. and so I don't know. I mean, I know that that's not exactly about device recalls, but I mean, that's my own personal experience with using a medical device with something that's definitely it was not a normal vaccine. Definitely it was something experimental, but and that's why there's no labels. But
so always eat your breakfast before you go for a vaccine.
Yeah. I mean, wash your hands before you get shot in the chest. And smile and say please and thank you, because we're in North America. You must say please and thank you for everything.
Well, it's interesting because for a long time, like, it didn't used to be this way. It didn't. I mean, doctors, the whole thing has changed. It's changed just in this generation. I mean, the whole attitude has changed. But the good news about it is that people are waking up, and I mean, it's about damn time, because you can only see so many people destroyed around you before you start to clue in. And like I said earlier, I don't hate doctors. There's good ones, there's bad ones, and just the same as not all drugs are bad, not all devices are bad, but they're screwing around with your biology, and you deserve to know exactly what's going on before it happens, what's happened with people in the past, and that's where recallguide.org is a very effective tool. Now, if you're dealing with a chronic pain or disease issue, I recommend supplementation. That's what I would do. That's my non-professional opinion. But here's the deal. I've never seen it kill anybody, and I've seen lots of people overcome problems that, doctors are required by law to tell you there is no cure. So you got a problem, you go to a professional, they tell you there's no cure. Well, what the hell am I paying for? And, it's the system itself is bankrupting our countries. We're in Canada. Chase, you're in the United States. The cost is too high. And it's not just the cost of the overcharging of these procedures and drugs, but also there's a cost to society when you have incarceration of people who get addicted to OxyContin, or they're using fentanyl. The police have to deal with it. It's great if you have a private for-profit prison, but it's not so good if your son gets using one of these drugs and gets thrown in jail. So, I mean, you got to look at the whole cost in general, and it's absolutely punching our society in the stomach, so to speak.
You know what? That's a good point. It's really sad is a thing, and anytime again, not all these drugs, these prescriptions that are developed are bad. They do a lot of good things, but anytime there's big money, there's always big problems. I think everyone can agree to that. And, one of the things that we wanted to do with Recall Guide was the feedback that we were getting from the attorneys is that they were very excited, because what they see is there's no good and easy way for people to report issues. So if you're prescribed something and you start having an adverse reaction or some kind of event, it's really, you don't know what to do. You contact your doctor. Okay, he can report it to the manufacturer. He can report it to FDA. Even you can report it directly to FDA. Most people don't know that or wouldn't even know how to do it. But that goes into kind of a black box, right? And so that's evaluated and can help determine whether a drug needs to be recalled, whether it needs to be reevaluated, whatever it might be. With the Recall Guide, we kind of wanted to, follow the trend of what's happening now. That there's a lot of this is the information age. If you want to find something out, you can find it out nowadays. So Recall Guide kind of follows along that same kind of cultural shift that we're having, that we have had in the past few decades. Or if you have an adverse event, you can report it.
And other people can go and look it up for themselves. I hear the music
exactly
in this segment. Jason, Mike, we'll be back after this. Welcome back, everybody. We're live. And wow, this show has gone really fast. Now, during the break, my co-host Mike was furiously copying and pasting and sent me the longest text message in the history of texting, I think. But he was talking, he sent me this clip about informed consent. Okay? You have to give consent. All right? It has to be acknowledged before they can do anything to you. And by the time you're damaged, they could say, well, I already got my 30 pieces of silver. What's it to us? But you got to know. You have to know. And they're not going to tell you. And it's up to you. It's that simple. Can we talk a little bit about informed consent or lack thereof, Chase?
Yeah, informed consent, right. I mean, it's like all these, we always, like you were talking about earlier, the drug commercials where you have the very small fine print, may cause, double the injury that you had before or death, things like that.
20 other ones.
Yeah. Yeah, so there's that, but then also, you have a lot of the big drug manufacturers, Bayer, Janssen Pharmaceuticals, who've been fined, in billions of dollars because they were actually found to have been pushing the drugs for off-label use. So not only were they relying on the informed consent for people to sign off on these things, but also, the manufacturers have been found to be pushing the drug for things that the drug was not approved to treat. And so then they end up with these big fines, $2.5 billion, because it becomes a scandal, because it's found out, because people talk about it, they get sick, it gets in the news and things like that.
Yeah, but I think that, like I was saying earlier in the show, they probably factor that in, right? So so if we make $10 billion and we get fined $2 billion, that's still $8 billion. So good day at the office, gentlemen, right? I mean, I'm sure that goes on.
It has to. I'm sure Mike, knows more about that. But right, like I said, these are some of the biggest companies in the world. They're publicly traded. They have access to a lot of money. So, and they make a profit.
Their profits are higher than the GDP of most countries.
Yep.
So,
I mean,
yeah, you were going to say, go ahead.
I was saying it's crazy. I mean, our site alone, we monitor over 100,000 FDA medications, and that's almost mind-boggling to think that we even have 100,000 FDA medications. I mean, are we really that sick? Are these really necessary? And are they really necessary for you? Again, the point that we're talking about. It's up to the individual, and do you really need? I mean, are you really that ill that you need prescriptions for different things? Do you need 5 prescriptions? Do you need to take? Do you need to be the guinea pig on one of these new drugs? I don't know. It's up to you.
Right.
But you should do due diligence before you sign that. Before you sign over your informed consent.
Well, that's just it. And it's funny, too, because we get these PSAs, public service announcements. You'll be listening to the radio here in Canada, and this commercial will come on, and it's like, there's danger lurking in your medicine cabinet. Your kids are getting dangerous prescription drugs. Well, who gave them to you, right? And so, they actually kind of throw it in your face between business and government, which, that's the Benito Mussolini defined fascism as a marriage between business and government, right? But there's tremendous profits here between both of them. And they actually warn you that your prescriptions are dangerous. Keep them away from your kids. They talk about prescription drugs getting into the water supply because so many people are on them that it goes into the sewer and seeps into the environment. And pretty soon you've got androgynous animals that are drinking out of these sloughs and whatnot. And the effects go so far into our society. It's absolutely insane. I mean, if I would have looked at these headlines when I was 10 years old, I'd have thought I was reading the Onion News or something with what's happening lately. But I cut you off, Mike. What were you going to say there, buddy?
I was going to say diseases are created for drugs. Okay, drugs are not created for diseases. New diseases come up. And if you want a little bit of proof that SSRIs are dangerous, the primary ingredient is fluoride, and on every tube of toothpaste that has fluoride, it says if you swallow this, call poison control, because that stuff's going to kill you.
Don't swallow toothpaste. Mike and Mike filling in for Dr. Glidden.
It'll kill you.
Have a good weekend, everybody.
By now you know that wireless technology like cell phones do in fact pose dangers to the health and privacy of everyone. Block-It Pocket's wide range of products are unmatched in providing the protection you deserve. No scare tactics, just common sense. BlockItPocket.com offers quality American-made options to alleviate and eliminate these invisible dangers. Learn more at BlockItPocket.com or call 888-315-9618. BlockItPocket.com, enhancing health and privacy.
Most of you know that heart disease is the #1 silent killer in the U.S. What if I told you for just $54.95 a month you could fight against heart disease naturally? At Heart and Body Extract, we've been helping thousands of people get back to a healthier heart. Don't just take my word for it. Check out all of the success stories at hbextract.com. Or to order, call 866-295-5305. That's 866-295-5305. hbextract.com. Don't risk it when you can take charge of it.
As if chlorine in our water weren't bad enough, now they're adding ammonia?
It's true. Some municipalities are now adding ammonia plus chlorine to your water supply. It's a disinfectant called chloramine. But with a trusted Big Berkey water filter, you can keep chloramine out of your water. New NSF EPA certified lab tests show EPA Berkey water filters remove chloramines, pharmaceuticals, BPA, pesticides, bacteria and viruses, all forms of fluoride, and much more. Big Berkey water filters are the original and most trusted on the market. The gold standard in water purification. And our filters last for years at less than 2 cents per gallon. Big Berkey, the one that's powerful enough to purify stagnant pond water. Get your Big Berkey today. Call 1-877-99-BERKEY or click BigBerkeyWaterFilters.com. That's 1-877-99-BERKEY. Big Berkey Water Filters, for the love of clean water.
Sciatica, lower back pain, hip pain, poor posture. If you suffer from any of these problems, get ready to relax. Introducing an amazing product that's been in the market for over 25 years, the Sacro Wedgie. It was invented by a football coach using a common sense osteopath technique. He created this device to help his athletes by isolating and supporting the sacrum, which is the keystone of our anatomy. This wedge-shaped bone is in the center of our hips, where a lot of pain starts. Simply relax 20 minutes daily on the amazingly simple Sacro Wedgie and let gravity do the work, helping muscles rebalance and start releasing nerves. Sit in the Sacro Wedgie at the computer or while traveling to help correct posture to finally help relieve those stubborn aches and pains for only $33.95. It's made in the USA, so click the family-owned website at sacrowedgie.com, spelled SACROWEDGY.com, or call 1-800-737-9295. That's 1-800-737-9295. Relax your back pain away with the Sacro Wedgie.
Hello, my name is Don Wiskin from HeartDrop.com, the distributors of Extendivite, the #1 heart drop that people have been raving about for years. Every February for the last 16 years, HeartDrop.com has had a Heart Month sale to help you stay heart healthy. For only $115 plus shipping and handling, you can get a 4-month supply of Extendivite in either liquid or capsule form to help you get started on your path to better health. Now is the time to stock up. Order what you need. Stay heart healthy all year with the #1 heart drop, Extendivite. To order your Extendivite, call 1-877-928-8822. That's 1-877-928-8822. Or visit our website, heartdrop.com.
Extend your life with Extendovite.
This is Dan Pilla. Do you owe the IRS money you can't pay? Are tax debts crippling you? I've defended people from the IRS for over 30 years. I've helped thousands, and I can help you too. I wrote the book on IRS settlement, and I'm telling you, there's no such thing as a hopeless case. Call 800-34-NO-TAX to finally get free of IRS debt. With the IRS's new programs, there's never been a better time to solve your problem. Call 800-34-NO-TAX. That's 800-34-NO-TAX, or my website, danpilla.com.
Don't complain about your cable bill going up and up and up. Do something about it. Grab a pencil and jot down this special number, 1-855-905-MY-TV. The more cable TV rates go up, the better digital satellite TV looks. Say goodbye to the cable guy and get more of your favorite channels in 100% digital quality for less money. Call 1-855-905-MyTV. Sign up for packages starting as low as $19.99 and there's no equipment to buy. You get free HD TV upgrade, a free DVR upgrade, and free professional installation. You control what you watch when you watch it. Record your favorite shows, pause and rewind live TV, even skip the commercials. Watch local channels too. At just $19.99, what are you waiting for? Pull out your major credit or debit card. Call 1-855-905-MyTV. 1-855-905-MyTV. Say goodbye to the cable guy. Cut costs and get more. 1-855-905-MyTV. 1-855-905-MyTV.
Today, more than ever, it's imperative that you protect your digital privacy. EDEC Digital Forensics, Signal Blocking, Anti-Radiation, Anti-Surveillance Faraday Bags shield the contents of your phones, tablets, and key fobs from 4G, Wi-Fi, GPS, Bluetooth, NFC, and more. Find us at edecdf.com/radio or call us now at 805-222-4584. That's 805-222-4584. Radio listeners get 20% off your order.
By now you know that wireless technology like cell phones do in fact pose dangers to the health and privacy of everyone. Blockit Pocket's wide range of products are unmatched in providing the protection you deserve. No scare tactics, just common sense. BlockitPocket.com offers quality American-made options to alleviate and eliminate these invisible dangers. Learn more at BlockitPocket.com or call 888-315-9618. BlockitPocket.com, enhancing health and privacy.
Most of you know that heart disease is the #1 silent killer in the U.S. What if I told you for just $54.95 a month you could fight against heart disease naturally? At Heart and Body Extract, we've been helping thousands of people get back to a healthier heart. Don't just take my word for it. Check out all of the success stories at hbextract.com. Or to order, call 866-295-5305. That's 866-295-5305. hbextract.com. Don't risk it when you can take charge of it.
Are you tired of commuting to a job that makes someone else rich, working harder than ever, but getting nowhere? Do you hate spending hundreds of dollars every week on daycare, having someone else raise your children? With our opportunities, you can start earning money as soon as next week. You get to be the boss, work from home, and live a happier life. At Be the Boss Network, you'll find hundreds of work-from-home opportunities that you can literally start today and be earning money as soon as next week. Go to freedom106.com and start earning money as soon as next week. You get to be the boss. Get out of the rat race. Work from home. Go to freedom106.com right now and change your life today. That's freedom106.com. Go to freedom106.com and start earning money as soon as next week. You be the boss. Go to freedom106.com.
Greetings, Phenomenal Ones. This is Dr. Jeremiah C. Hackley of Phenomenal Center. I want to invite you to the Phenomenal Health and Healing Conference in the city of Knoxville, February the 7th and the 8th. We have coming Dr. Joel Wallach. He is a two-time Nobel Prize nominee, the Humanitarian Award winner for Natural Medicine, featured at the United Nations, and have 75 peer reviews published in health journals. Dr. Wallach has an answer for you. Call us right now. We only have 100 seats. 865-851-7269. Health is not a matter of chance, but it is a matter of choice. Call us right now. 865-851-7269.
Are you worried about your mom or dad living alone in their house? Hi, I'm Joan London. Listen, I know how difficult it is to find senior care for someone you love. That's why I recommend a free service called A Place for Mom. They are the nation's largest senior living referral service. Call A Place for Mom today.
To receive free information on senior living communities in your area, call A Place for Mom at 1-800-704-6182.
A Place for Mom offers free one-on-one advice from local advisors and a personalized list of senior living communities you can visit. If you have questions about senior care for your mom or dad, there's a place for answers, A Place for Mom.
Call A Place for Mom in the next 10 minutes to get your free ebook on financing senior care as well as free information on senior living communities in your area. Call 1-800-704-6182. That's 1-800-704-6182.
Hunters, anglers, campers, and survivalists. Get back to nature. Expand your horizons with the highest quality, most versatile, unique slingshots and sling bows on the market at slingbow.com. Slingbow products are compact and models start from just $17.98. They're perfect for your bug out bag or storing in your vehicle. Give yourself and your loved ones the excitement and tradition of Slingbow, a new frontier in archery and truly modern twist on this primitive survival tool. Feel the thrill only at slingbow.com.
Hi, this is Dr. Joel Wallach, the Mineral Doctor. You've heard me talk about 90 for Life for years. 60 minerals, 16 vitamins, 12 amino acids, 2 fatty acids. You may not know this, that I've actually designed Arthrodex for animals. That's right. Your pets need 90 for Life too. Get this essential pet product by calling 877-279-9422. That's 877-279-9422. Again, 877-279-9422.
Ted Anderson telling you about Jordan Rubin's Beyond Organic Green-Fed Raw Cheddar Artesian Cheese featuring whole milk created through ancient dairy breeding, unpasteurized, untreated whole milk on the same farm the cows graze, containing natural sources of omega-3s, CLA protein, calcium, probiotics, and enzymes. I have never tasted cheese this good, and you need to try it. Contact your Longevity distributor or call 877-878-4203 or go to gcnteam.com.